Have you ever noticed how no one tells you about the good parts of getting older? Sure, everyone talks about wrinkles, aches, and forgetting where you left your glasses again. But what if I told you that growing older actually comes with incredible advantages, ones that most people overlook? It's true. Beneath all the noise about youth and anti-aging, there's a quiet, powerful truth. Getting older brings a kind of wisdom, freedom, and perspective that no amount of youth can offer. And today, we're going to shine a light on that truth. Hello there, friend. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or even better, this message is for you. You've walked through decades of life. You've loved, lost, worked hard, raised families, built dreams, and probably made a few hilarious mistakes along the way. That's something to be proud of. And while society often praises youth, it forgets something important. Age is an achievement. Every wrinkle is a badge of honor. Every gray hair is a chapter in your story. And behind that story, a whole lot of untapped joy, confidence, and unexpected perks that come with age. So, in today's video, we're uncovering 7 surprising benefits of growing old that no one really talks about, but absolutely should. This isn't fluff. These are real, uplifting truths that can help you fall back in love with your life right where you are. Whether you're retired and wondering what's next, or simply trying to embrace this stage of life with a little more peace and laughter, stick around. Because by the end of this video, you might just say, you know what? Getting older isn't so bad after all. Let's dive in. Number 1, you finally stop caring what people think. Let's be honest, how much of your younger years were spent tangled in the web of other people's opinions? You worried if your clothes were fashionable enough, if your words were the right thing to say, if people would judge how you parented, worked, or lived your life. And that worry? It often followed you into decisions both big and small. You might have said yes when you wanted to say no. You kept quiet to keep the peace. You bent over backwards just to be liked, accepted, or understood. But here's the beauty of growing older, that noise starts to fade. With time, you begin to see the truth. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to notice or care about your every move. And even if they do, you realize something even more powerful. Their opinion doesn't shape your reality. You've lived, you've learned, you've stumbled and stood back up. You've discovered who you are, not because someone told you, but because life showed you. Now, instead of shrinking yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you expand into your true self. You speak with confidence, not because you want to impress, but because you no longer need to pretend. You dress in what feels good, do what brings you joy, and surround yourself with people who value your presence, not just your performance. And this shift isn't about becoming hard or indifferent, it's about becoming authentic. There's a quiet power in walking into a room and no longer needing to prove anything. There's freedom in making choices based on your values, your peace of mind, and your joy, not someone else's judgment. You no longer chase approval. You no longer need everyone to agree with you. You realize that being misunderstood doesn't mean you're wrong, and that living for others often meant losing yourself. So you stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your boundaries, your opinions, your life story. Instead, you trust your gut. You lean into your experiences. And you understand that self-respect means more than public praise ever could. That moment when you finally stop caring what people think, it's like laying down a weight you've carried for decades. It's peaceful, it's powerful, and most of all, it's yours. Because when you stop worrying about how others see you, you finally get the chance to see yourself clearly, confidently, and completely. Number 2, you gain a superpower called perspective. With age comes a quiet wisdom, a kind of inner knowing that only time can teach. And at the heart of that wisdom is a priceless gift, perspective. When you're younger, every bump in the road can feel like a mountain. A job loss feels like the end of the world. A disagreement feels like a personal failure. Even small inconveniences like traffic or a missed appointment can ruin your entire day. But as you grow older, something incredible begins to shift. You start seeing life through a wider lens. You've lived through decades of highs and lows, surprises and setbacks. You've watched plans fall apart and watched yourself build new ones. You've grieved losses you thought you'd never get over, and yet here you are. Because time doesn't just pass, it teaches. It shows you that most of the things you used to stress about weren't as big as they felt in the moment. It reminds you that feelings are temporary, but strength is lasting. And it teaches you to pause, breathe, and ask, will this still matter a week from now? A year? 5 years? More often than not, the answer is no. And so, you stop reacting with panic. You stop letting little things steal your peace. Instead, you respond with calm, with patience, with perspective. That's a kind of superpower, isn't it? Because while others may get caught up in the storm of the moment, you've learned how to anchor yourself. You know that not everything deserves your energy. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting. And you realize that sometimes the wisest thing you can do is simply let it go. Perspective also helps you appreciate the good more deeply. You begin to notice the things you once overlooked: a warm breeze, a child's laughter, the way sunlight filters through the window in the morning. You find yourself feeling more grateful, not because life is suddenly perfect, but because you now recognize how precious the small, quiet moments really are. You see what truly matters: your health, your family, the people who love you just as you are, and the peace that comes from knowing you've survived your hardest days. And that clarity, it doesn't just make life simpler, it makes life richer. You no longer chase every trend or worry about keeping up with the crowd. You focus on living well, not just living fast. You spend more time in conversation and less time in comparison. You make decisions based on what feels right, not what looks good. And you give your time to things that matter, not things that merely distract. That's what perspective gives you. Not just the ability to look back, but the ability to move forward with clarity, confidence, and peace. And once you've gained that superpower, you wouldn't trade it for anything. Number 3, you build deeper, more authentic relationships. One of the quiet, powerful gifts of growing older is the transformation of your relationships. They become fewer, but far more meaningful. In your younger years, you may have felt pressure to keep a large social circle, attending every event, answering every call, staying in touch with people who didn't always make you feel good. You tolerated gossip, ignored red flags, and stretched yourself thin just to avoid disappointing others. But now, you see things differently. You no longer seek quantity, you seek quality. You're not interested in who's popular or loudest in the room. You're drawn to people who are genuine, kind, and present. Your conversations shift. They're no longer about impressing, competing, or keeping up. Instead, they're about understanding, reminiscing, healing. You talk about life's deeper things, what you've learned, what you still wonder, and what really matters. You value people who listen without judgment, people who check in, not out of obligation, but because they truly care. And more importantly, you've become that kind of person too. You've learned how to let go of ego, how to forgive more easily, how to sit with someone's pain without trying to fix it. You've realized that being right isn't always more important than being kind, and in doing so, you've become a safer place for others to open up. That emotional maturity doesn't just change how you relate, it transforms who you attract. You start forming bonds with people who see you for who you are, not what you can offer. And even if your circle is small, it's made of gold. You may have a lifelong friend who's seen you through every season. You may have reconnected with a sibling, a neighbor, or a childhood friend and found a new kind of closeness. You may be forming surprising new friendships with younger people who value your insight, your stories, your calm presence. And in many cases, you've become a source of wisdom and grounding for the people around you. You're the one your grandchildren call when they need advice. You're the one a friend confides in when life feels overwhelming. You're the steady voice that says, "You'll get through this," And they believe you because you've lived it. You've also learned to let go of relationships that drain you. There's no bitterness in it, just clarity. You understand that not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever, and that's okay. You choose peace over proving a point, companionship over chaos, meaning over maintenance, because you've earned the right to spend your time with people who make your life feel richer, calmer, and more honest. And that's the beauty of growing older. You don't just find deeper relationships, you create them, protect them, and become one. Number 4, you rediscover time and what to do with it. Let's talk about something that once felt like a luxury: free time. When you were younger, your days were packed to the brim. You were juggling responsibilities, raising kids, working long hours, maintaining a household, keeping up with errands. It often felt like you were running on autopilot, doing what needed to be done just to get through the day. But now, you've stepped into a season where the rush has finally slowed down. The clock doesn't feel like your enemy anymore. For the first time in a long time, your time feels like your own. You don't wake up to an alarm blaring or a calendar full of appointments you didn't choose. You wake up and think, what do I want to do today? That simple question is more powerful than it seems because it puts you back in control. And the beauty of it? There's no pressure. You're not chasing deadlines. You're not rushing to keep up. You get to move at your own pace, follow your own rhythm, and finally give time to the things that bring you joy. Maybe that means sitting quietly with your morning coffee, no phone, no rush, just you and the sunrise. Maybe it means pulling out an old hobby you haven't touched in years: woodworking, sewing, painting, writing. Maybe it means signing up for a local class, not because you have to, but because you want to keep learning. You can read more books, listen to music you grew up with, take a walk in the afternoon without checking your watch, or call an old friend and talk for hours just because you can. You've earned this freedom. And it's not just about keeping busy, it's about living intentionally. You now have the gift of choosing what fills your day. You get to decide how to spend your energy, your focus, your hours. That could mean exploring new things like joining a local senior center, volunteering at a hospital, or finally visiting the places you always dreamed of seeing. Or it could mean embracing rest, knowing you don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. Some people might call this retirement, but really, it's a reawakening. Because when you remove the weight of obligation, what's left is possibility. You're not stuck in survival mode, you're in discovery mode. Discovery of what you love, what gives you peace, and what brings your soul alive. And the most beautiful part? Everything you do now, it's not for status or approval or income. It's for joy, for you. This isn't the end of your story. It's the chapter where you finally get to be the author. Number 5, you embrace simplicity and it feels wonderful. There's something deeply calming about the way life begins to simplify as we age. And unlike what the world might tell you, that's not a loss, it's a gift. In your earlier years, life often felt complicated. There were careers to manage, children to raise, bills to pay, plans to make. You were always on the go, trying to juggle it all, sometimes without a moment to breathe. But now, with those hectic seasons behind you, something begins to shift. You start letting go of the non-essentials. You realize you don't need 10 pairs of shoes or a jam-packed social calendar. You don't need to impress anyone or prove anything. And with every layer you peel back, you feel a little lighter. Instead of filling your days with noise, you begin to value quiet. Instead of chasing the next big thing, you begin to enjoy what's already here. Suddenly, joy shows up in the smallest places. A cozy chair near the window where the afternoon light hits just right. The familiar scent of home-cooked soup simmering on the stove. Watching squirrels play in the yard while sipping tea. Folding laundry slowly, with no rush, just peace. And it's not that life becomes boring. It becomes intentional. Every moment becomes more meaningful because you're no longer rushing past it. There's no pressure to multitask or stay busy just for the sake of it. You give yourself permission to sit down, take breaks, and simply be. Even your surroundings reflect this shift. you start decluttering not just your home, but your mind. You keep what brings you comfort and release what no longer serves you. Old possessions take on new value not for how much they cost, but for the memories they carry. A chipped teacup from your wedding set, a well-worn sweater that reminds you of someone you loved, photos in dusty frames that still make you smile. In simplifying your outer world, your inner world grows clearer. You find yourself thinking more deeply, reflecting more often, and appreciating what once went unnoticed. There's also a quiet strength that comes from this simplicity. You no longer get caught up in what others think or what the world expects. You're content with who you are, where you are, and what you have. That kind of peace is rare, and it doesn't come from chasing more, it comes from needing less. So, yes, aging may bring change, but in many ways, it brings clarity. And with clarity comes calm, because when you embrace simplicity, you rediscover what truly matters, and you realize you didn't need more. You just needed less noise and more presence. Number 6, you discover hidden talents and new passions. One of the most surprising and beautiful parts of growing older is realizing you're not done evolving. For years, life may have revolved around meeting other people's needs, raising a family, building a career, supporting others. In the process, some of your own interests, dreams, or creative curiosities might have quietly taken a back seat. But now, you have something rare and powerful: time, space, and perspective. And that creates the perfect conditions for rediscovery. Many older adults are shocked to find a new spark inside them, one that wasn't visible in the hustle of their younger years. Maybe you've picked up a paintbrush for the first time and discovered you have a natural eye for color and form. Or perhaps you've started jotting down stories from your past and realized you have a real gift for storytelling. Some discover a love for photography, pottery, poetry, or learning a new language. These aren't just hobbies, they're doorways into who you still are becoming. What makes this stage even more special is that the pursuit of these passions isn't driven by competition, comparison, or perfection. It's fueled by joy and curiosity. You're not painting to become famous. You're painting because it makes you feel alive. You're not writing to impress anyone. You're writing because your voice matters. You're singing, dancing, planting, crafting simply because you can. And often, these hidden talents have been there all along, quietly waiting for the right moment to shine. Now, without the pressure of schedules and obligations, they have room to grow. Even better, learning something new at this age brings real benefits beyond emotional joy. Science tells us that engaging in creative or mentally stimulating activities strengthens memory and attention, improves mood and emotional well-being, helps slow cognitive decline, builds new neural connections in the brain. In other words, every time you try something new, you're not just exploring, you're thriving. Don't underestimate the power of these discoveries. Some seniors start small, then grow into mentors, teachers, or local artists. Others start side projects or even small businesses based on a late-life talent. But you don't need to make it big to make it meaningful. Sometimes, just finding the courage to try something new is the victory. So, whether it's knitting, bird watching, writing songs, learning the piano, or crafting handmade cards for loved ones, follow what lights you up, even if it feels silly or unfamiliar at first. Because every time you create, every time you grow, every time you try, you're proving a simple truth. It's never too late to discover more of who you are. Number 7, you leave a legacy that matters. This may be the most meaningful gift of growing older. Not something you can hold in your hands, but something far more lasting, your legacy. When you're young, you often think of legacy in terms of achievements or wealth. But as the years pass, your perspective deepens. You begin to see that legacy isn't about what you've built. It's about how you've lived. It's the values you've passed down through everyday moments. The way you comforted someone in pain, the way you treated others with patience, honesty, and respect, the quiet strength you showed when things got tough. Your legacy is built in the small, consistent choices you made over time, and often you don't even realize the impact you've had. You may think you were just being there for someone, but to them, you were their anchor. You may believe your life was ordinary, but to your grandchildren, your life is a source of wonder and wisdom. Think of the recipes you've shared, the lullabies you sang, the advice you gave in passing that someone still carries with them today. That's legacy. And the beauty of this stage of life is that it gives you space to reflect, to see the full tapestry of your influence. You start to notice how your presence shaped people, how your resilience inspired others, how your laughter, your stories, your traditions live on in the hearts of those around you. And here's the most powerful truth of all. You're still shaping that legacy right now. It's not too late to reconnect with someone you've drifted from. Share your life story with a younger generation. Speak words you've always meant to say. Pass down the lessons only you can teach. Even a simple gesture, a heartfelt conversation, a handwritten note, a shared memory can echo across generations. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to live with love, intention, and grace. Legacy is not about perfection. It's about being real, being present, being you. So when you look back on your life, take pride in the quiet ways you've made the world better. And when you look forward, know that there's still time to leave the kind of mark that only you can. Because the truth is, you matter. You've always mattered, and your story will outlive you in the best way possible. So, let's take a step back. Getting older isn't about what you've lost. It's about what you've gained. You've earned freedom, perspective, confidence, simplicity. You've built a rich life with love, loss, learning, and laughter. You have stories no one else can tell, wisdom no one else can give, and a heart that's grown deeper with every year. The truth is, aging isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. So, don't let society fool you into thinking your best years are behind you. They're not. They're right now. And they're still unfolding, one beautiful moment at a time. If this video resonated with you, we'd love to have you as part of our community. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed today's message. Subscribe for more warm-hearted advice, inspiration, and tips to help you thrive in your golden years. And most importantly, share this video with a friend or loved one who might need a little reminder that growing old is truly a gift. Thanks for spending time with us today. Until next time, stay well, stay kind, and keep embracing the beautiful journey you're on. Take care.